What's up, guys? Nick here. Today, I kind of want to just go over a build we looked at on stream last night. I don't want to call it a build, actually, so let me preface here. I don't want to call this a build. I don't want to say this is going to function properly. I don't want to say that this is going to even make it past the design stage. I don't know. I haven't played PoE 2 yet. I'm not sure if this is going to even pop off, but I don't know. We spent some time on it last night. I figured I would take a minute to just kind of condense all the thoughts and go over the theory crafting we did, and if it works, cool. If not, cool. Like, just killing time till the game comes out, really, is where we're at. So let's go ahead and jump into it here. I'll show you kind of what we're working with. Okay, so right here we're in PoE2 skills. This is not an official site. Some of this info might be wrong. It's maybe updated since this shit's been added to the database. Like, hard to say. So, again, just grain of salt, major speculation here. I'm not saying this is. I'm just saying this is what we're trying. So, we're going with the Warbringer. If we look at Warbringer here, there's a couple things I want to mention. So, this is PoE DB. Again, not official, but these two kind of work hand in hand for theory crafting right now. So, we're looking at our Warbringer Ascendancy. One of the Ascendancy nodes here, Answered Call, is going to spawn these spirits when you drop a totem. So that's going to be kind of like a main synergy we're working with. Another preface here: this being the centerpiece of the build is teetering on a lot of what ifs because we don't know tags for this skill. This is an ascendancy skill. This is new to PoE, I believe. You with an ascendancy skill, you just get it on your skill bar, and it can be supported. So that being said, I don't have support set up for this because we haven't seen the tags for this skill. So I don't know if they scale with minions, if they scale with totems. I don't know how to scale this. So currently, this is kind of in the air. My plan for this is we'll get into that. I'm also very curious about this Jade Heritage. It seems to be kind of a standalone node. May not take it once we see more about it. Again, this is a ascendancy skill. So it's a skill that you take from your ascendancy tree, and then it goes onto your bar and can be supported. So I'm not even sure what we can do with this yet. I'm just intrigued by what it does. If you're not familiar, essentially it's a click to hold. It's not a toggle. You hold the button down, you go into your form, your Jade form, you absorb damage, you let go, you come out of it. I'm assuming it can be broken. It has a threshold on how much damage it can absorb, but it's kind of just like a shield up button, and I think that's pretty interesting. So those are the two I'm interested in. We're not going too deep into this Warcry stuff because it's going to take 4 points to even get no cooldown on it, and I'm not going for this corpse explode thing. So this is what we're working with right now. So the premise of what I'm trying to do here is to get as many ancestral spirits out from totems as possible. So hopefully like 3 or 4. This is going to be kind of a couple ways to do this. So going back into the skills. Just to start it off, since we're talking about the totems, we have Ancestral War Totem here. So what this is going to be a totem that you use one of your slots for to put a skill gem into. So this, you can see, raises a totem that uses socketed mace skill. So we've taken Earth Shatter, which is like essentially you slam, it does damage, and then it makes a spike come up. And then you can pop the spikes to do like an AoE. I'm paraphrasing here. We're not getting into like super specifics because stuff's likely going to change scaling wise. This is all just like theory of concept. So we have our totems. They're now throwing out these slams that are spawning spikes with Earth Shatter. This here is a caveat I want to mention. So in this database here is showing Jagged Ground very differently. That's why I closed it here. So we have Jagged Ground looking very different here in the database. I'm going to go ahead and assume it's this one. This is newer to be uploaded. So a little bit of conflicting information here. Regardless, this still says supported skills, or supported slam skills rather. It's tied to slams, which Earth Shatter is. Supported slams cause a patch of Jagged Ground. Now, what is Jagged Ground? It's a new, I believe it does a slow. This is another thing we need more information on. But I believe it does a slow, and it can be detonated through different means. So our totems are dropping spikes, which we shatter. We're dropping Jagged Grounds, which we shatter. The text isn't too different on this. This just says that whenever it does AoE, it spawns in Jagged Ground. I was kind of trying to make this double dip with Earthquake potentially, but if it's changed to just drop Jagged Ground, then it is what it is. So the totems are basically set up to be dropping spikes and Jagged Grounds for me to pop. That's what they're for. Faster attacks just to put out more stuff. Increased limit. I think this is new. So what we're doing here is we're getting a second totem. Shorter duration, which is kind of a bummer. They're not going to be out for long. They only last, I believe, 8 seconds by base. 20 seconds. That's not bad. Okay, so regardless, they're going to be 10 seconds out with this, but we also are going to put more duration in just to have them kind of try to balance that out a bit. These are kind of more of a support role. Again, they're setting up my Earth Shatter, and they're setting up my Jagged Grounds. So once those are out and I'm able to pop them, that's where we're going to come in with Stampede. Stampede is going to be like my Jagged Ground popping, like spam ability, if you will. I don't think this is going to be spammable, but this is going to be, it's going to be where the damage comes from, I think. So with Stampede, we've got it, it's a channel. You hold it, you do some steps, which also drops Jagged Ground, and then at the end of your run, you do a big slam, which pops Jagged Grounds. So this is how we're popping them, and also creating some. So to support this, we've got, this is kind of an oddball one. We'll get into this, but essentially, I'm going to be able to consume Rage to do more damage. We'll get into how I get Rage in a sec. Fist of War. I don't know specifically what this does. I know it's in PoE 1. I believe it's just a massive boost to damage, possibly move speed. I think it's just like empowering the Stampede every 6 seconds, which I may not even be using it every 6 seconds. So this will be nice. We've also got Brutality. This is just straight fizz damage. Can't do Elemental or Chaos with it, but that's fine. We're Stampede. We're charging. We've got added Cold. This is kind of a weird addition. The way I understand this, and grain of salt this because I'm not positive on this, but the way I see this is it's going to calculate my damage and then give me 25% of that as additional damage as Cold. So I could be wrong on that. This may just come out and we'll swap it for something else. But my theory here is that if I'm stampeding a lot and doing AoE with it, this is potentially just going to introduce Chill, possibly Freeze on smaller mobs, and it's free damage. It gets tricky trying to get supports into full like 6-linking everything, which we don't know how easy this is going to be to 6-link. But this is just an option for more damage and introducing Chill into the build. And then I've got Life Drain here. This is a kind of an oddball one. Recover life on Cull. The way this is going to... Okay, so we're going to get into the Life Drain support and the Rage Forge here. So in my War Cry here, my Seismic Cry, I've got Empowered Cull, which... supported skills empowered by supported skills, it's wordy, have Culling Strike. So essentially my Warcry is going to empower, we'll get into the stats on this, but my Warcry is going to empower my Stampede or my Sunder because it empowers slams. And but in this context we're talking about Stampede. So Stampede empowered by Warcry gains Cull. So that's why I have Cull on kill here. So that's going to be how that synergy works. And then as far as the Raid Forged, we also have that on the War Cry, which is Raging Cry here. Supported skills grant 4 rage per 5 power of enemies in range. So I'm not 100% how power range works. I could be wrong on this as well. I'm just going off of what I've heard. But PoE 1 enemy type has a power rating. So I believe it's like 20 for a boss, like a unique boss, and like maybe 5 for... or a magic monster or something along those lines. I don't know the specifics on it, but essentially what this is doing is giving me rage per enemy in range. So when I Warcry, so I pop my Warcry, I empower my Stampede. This is going to give me a bunch of rage, and then we're going to burn that rage to do more damage with Stampede and also have Cull hopefully kill some stuff off, get some healing. I don't know. It seems like a decent little combination. So to back it up a step, Seismic Cry, which is empowering all these things, is a War Cry. It's got an 8-second cooldown. We'll get into that. The cast time I'm not happy about, but I'll see how it feels in game. But essentially what this War Cry is doing is, it's got a lot of text here, but for what we're looking at here, essentially this is going to, when you pop this, empower your next slam. You can use, this is a new feature here as far as I understand it, Endurance Charge, Power Charge, Frenzy Charge. These are all... The way I understand it is you don't get numerical stat from them now. They are simply there to be consumed from spells like this. So what I'm looking at here is to get some endurance charges, to get into the later text here, where we're going to consume, and like each additional endurance charge you consume gives you another empowered slam. So hopefully we get a couple slams off of this, 2 or 3. That way we're not war crying all the time. That might alleviate the cast time cooldown dilemma. So we're popping war cry, we're empowering Stampede in multiple ways. More damage, we're getting the cull, we're getting rage. Outside of those supports, we're looking at corrupting cry, which is putting out just corrupted blood. It's more damage based on strength. We're going to be stacking strength because we're strength here. What else do we have? We also have inspiration. This is a very... I didn't know what else to put here. We're getting kind of limited on gems to put in, so this probably isn't necessary. I assume the cost isn't going to be that high, and you don't cast this all the time. So this is kind of a... probably not going to make the cut gem, but it's where we're at for now. And then reduce cooldown just to kind of shave some cooldown off of this 8-second. So we can empower more if we don't have the endurance charges we need for it. So to get back into that, I mentioned Sunder as well. Sunder, I've got in a weird setup here. So this is going to be empowered by my Seismic Cry. I'm going to want a Seismic Cry before every Sunder, or at least have it left over from endurance charges. But Sunder I've got set up to just be like a pocket nuke here. So if we read it, there's a lot of text here. It does seem slow. It adds 1.4 seconds of attack time, so that's going to slow it down. It has a 100% increased bonus critical damage, and what we're going to be doing is making sure it's a guaranteed crit. So by doing that, so if we read here, automatically critically hit enemies with fully broken armor. We've got armor break up top. We'll get into that, but essentially we're going to break the armor and just unleash this massive, probably weapon swap to a two-hander if I'm not using it already, but just drop this nuke of a Sunder. So this is gonna take off that broken armor effect, but it's gonna guarantee the crit. And then to support this, we've got combo finisher here, which I believe is a new support to the game. I don't know specifically. From what I understand, every other attack you do is gonna build combo. And at a 5 combo point, you can then use Sunder. So Sunder is not like a spam ability. This is like build up to. But 50% increased damage once we're there. And then we've got Exploit Weakness, which is going to consume fully broken armor. I'm assuming these two interact when you remove it for the crit and you get the bonus damage out of it. I don't know why it wouldn't, but maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Again, speculation here. But the theory is we strip the armor and just hit hard as hell. Critical damage, we're guaranteeing the crit, so we're going to go ahead and just get extra crit damage here at the cost of some base damage, but it's a guaranteed crit, so it seems like a gain. We're also looking at Hourglass. It's going to add some damage to the spell, and it's going to add an 8-second cooldown, but again, we're building up combo here, and it's going to, I assume, take probably about 8 seconds at least to like really dial that in and like line up how you want to like really utilize this Sunder properly. So I'm not so worried about the 8 seconds. And then we've got Concentrated here just for, I assume this is a huge slam. I could do it at a bit of a range, but I assume I'm going to be using this for a single target kind of thing, like, an elite destroyer or a boss hitter. So I'm probably going to be right on top of them when I do this. So I don't mind the less area for more damage. So Sunder's our big pocket nuke. Stampede is charging around, popping our jagged grounds that we're spawning with totems. And then the only one we haven't really got into here skill-wise is Armor Breaker. So this seems pretty straightforward. You smack them, they shred some armor. That seems great in a physical setting or a Quorofizz build. So to support this, I've thrown in Break Endurance. This is just going to give us an endurance charge when we break armor, which that's how we're trying to generate our endurance charges for Seismic Cry to get more empowers. We've got increased armor break, so just more armor shred here. Splinter is another form of armor shred based on the physical damage dealt with this skill, which I don't think this spell is going to hit very hard. It seems kind of like more utility than damage. It doesn't seem to have a crazy base. I mean, it's a level 12 gem with 86% attack damage. I don't know. This is speculation, but this is more of a support thing. I'm assuming the mana cost is low. We're going to be just smacking and shredding armor. This is more of a utility setup, and these are like the hitters here. So we've got Splinter for more armor shred. And then we've got Life Leech. This, I kind of teetered about where to put this. I kind of wanted it on Stampede, but I want Stampede to hit. So I figure I'm going to be hitting with Armor Breaker a lot, so it's probably better to just have Trickle healing from this and then use the cull on, because I'm assuming the Stampede's going to cull fairly often, so I couldn't really do both in the same skill. So we want to put ahead and put the Life Leech just to get something out of it, and then we've also got melee physical damage. It's going to attack a little slower, but this is going to do more damage to kind of bump up the lower end on this. This is also going to feed into Life Leech, more healing because we're doing more damage, and it's also going to feed into Splinter because you're breaking armor based on 15% of physical damage dealt. So increasing the damage on this is just a little bit more armor break and the healing. So that's kind of like our main arsenal. And then we do have this interesting setup here. Really cool new gem, Blasphemy. So this is a meta gem. If you're not familiar with these, you basically put it in the gem slot like it is here, and then you slot a spell into it. So this one here is going to do Socketed Curses, applying an aura around you, 30 spirit per gem. So, or sorry, per curse. So we've put Enfeeble in here. I'm debating putting Temporal Chains. It also seems really good for like a massive slow, but this is essentially a damage reduction aura that we have around us. Normal, magic, and rare enemies deal 21% less damage, and then uniques do 16. So this is pretty nice damage mitigation, and to support that even further. So quick caveat, your downside on a meta is you're losing a support slot because you have to put a skill slot in, but this is a utility thing, so I'm not too upset. We've got Heightened Curse for more effect, so just more damage mitigation. And then this is something that's completely my speculation. I don't know for sure, but in theory, we're looking here at Blasphemy. It's got the tag buff and persistent, right? So my thinking is Vitality here has buff and persistent tags. I would assume this would apply to my aura. Regenerate 1.5% of your life per second while supported skill is active, which it always will be in an aura setting. Same with Cannibalism. This is just life percent on kill. And we threw Clarity in here too because I don't really know how mana regeneration is going to work or how easy it's going to be to fix that. I'm sure we could find something else to slap in here if this doesn't end up being needed. Kind of the same with Inspiration here, just kind of like placeholder for now until we see more skills or more things open up. We don't have access to the full skill tree. It's hard to say like what you're actually going to need. But, I mean, this just seems like a really nice aura. You've got just a lot of utility coming out of this. Damage reduction, healing, mana income. I don't know. So that's pretty much the sum of what I've come up with. I do have this other gem here. This is something we were considering. Cast on critical. Not sold on this yet. This is very work in progress. But the reason I have this is because this costs 100 spirits. So 30 for this. 100 here. We don't know exactly like what range we're going to be spirit-wise. I've heard 180. That's grain of salt on that. So this is here in the case that I don't end up needing spirit for the keystone I'm about to get into, which is going to be this guy here. So if we go over to the keystones, I've been looking at this guy here, Ancestral Bond. Now I think this information's out of date. We've seen a video showing this reservation cost be 100, and it's a fairly recent gameplay video. So I'm gonna lean into that just in case it is. I'd rather not be disappointed thinking it's 50 and have it be 100. I'd rather just go in prepared for the worst. So this is a keystone that I think this is going to be like a late game investment thing here. I'm assuming you're going to probably want at least like 400 or 500 spirit to really make this shine. But the theory here is, because right now if we're getting +1 to totem from our support, and I believe there's something to +1 on the tree as well. I'm not 100 on that, so this is kind of in the air. I figure this will probably be like the earlier game setup, and then when we can afford the spirit to make this happen, we go this route, drop that support, drop whatever's on the tree because it'll nullify them, stack spirit, and have it go towards totems. So to recap, let's say we have 500 spirit. This is just a number I'm pulling out of nowhere. 400 or 500 spirit. We've got 4 or 5 totems out that are all dropping jagged grounds that we then pop. And to come back full circle, the totems with Answered Call are spawning ancestral spirits. So that's now 4 or 5 spirits running around with these totems. Now, this is getting a little too tinfoil hat, a little too deep. I don't know enough about it. But in theory, if we're rocking a Scepter in the offhand here for more spirit and to boost allies, like we've seen Scepters give over 100% attack damage to allies. So that might be sick in place of a shield. If you've got really big ancestral spirits out there just smacking stuff, you've got totems running around, drawing aggro, smacking stuff, it might be kind of sick to just have a spirit in your offhand, crank their damage, get more spirit to get more to like. This seems like a really cool setup, but it does seem very expensive, especially if that cost is going to be at 100. So this is kind of too late game to really look at right now, but I just wanted to kind of get some possibilities thrown together. There may be better ways to optimize this. Again, I don't have a permanent solution for if we don't go Ancestral Bond and we end up needing like a totem solution here for spirit. Like, what are we going to spend it on? We have 30 here out of 180. Like, we still would need more even with cast on something. So it's not like a complete build guide or anything. I don't want to label it as that, but it is just kind of what we've thrown together concept wise, and this is probably what I'm going to start with. I just really want to see how it works. So as we get more information, and okay, so one last thing here. The ancestral spirits are going to have their own skill. We can't see it because it's not a skilled gem. We don't have the information right now. So my thought is, for that ancestral spirit, I'm going to support it with a ton of like stun and utility. So I'll have the totems, like I'll be doing the primary detonating. The totems will be spawning everything that enables the detonating, and the spirits are just going to be like, I'm going to make them tanky and like support. If I can make them taunt somehow, I definitely will. I'm going to slap stuns on them, like maybe some kind of chill. Like they're just going to be out to be like CC support, kind of just draw aggro off of me so I'm not getting smacked, and then I can just be focused on popping things with my Stampede and my Sunder. So we'll see how it pans out. It might be a total trash. It might be sick, but I just wanted to kind of compile all this information down from a 9-hour VOD and just kind of go over what we've been looking at. So that's where we're at. Hopefully it's cool. But yeah, if you liked this little theorycraft session, come check me out on Twitch. It's going to be twitch.tv/stickwithnick. That's kind of my primary focus right now. I just started this whole process up. I do want to do some YouTube, especially more when the game comes out, kind of give build updates, stuff like that, kind of things I discover, just share information. But I have to learn how to do all that. I need to get like editing figured out and all that. So YouTube's going to be a slower pace, but I did kind of just want to like get something on the channel, start it up, and promote Twitch a little bit too. So come check me out over there, say what's up, come hang out. It's usually a cozy time, and yeah, we'll see you on the next one.